The shadowed influence of East Side Bolen Park 13 gang in Baldwin Park. Baldwin Park, California, is a city rich in history but deeply embedded in Los Angeles County's gang landscape. Known for its significant Hispanic heritage and socio-economic struggles, Baldwin Park has become home to several street gangs that impact every aspect of community life. The East Side Bolen Park 13, ESBP 13, gang stands out for its influence, violent rivalries, and far-reaching effects on the city's residents and overall stability. Baldwin Park, a historical backdrop to gang culture. Before Baldwin Park became the city it is today, it was primarily used for ranching and cattle grazing by the San Gabriel Mission. Named in 1906 after California businessman Elias J. Lucky Baldwin, the city is famously known as the birthplace of California's iconic In-N-Out burger stand, the state's first drive-through hamburger establishment. This legacy symbolizes the contrasts in California's progress, growth and innovation mixed with deeply rooted social challenges. Today, Baldwin Park's population of 77,089 is predominantly Hispanic, with over 80% identifying as such. This demographic makeup contributes to the city's cultural dynamics, where only about 11% of residents have a college degree, and the average household size is nearly double the national average. In such a setting, where socioeconomic struggles and close community ties define much of daily life, gangs have become both a symptom and an outlet for individuals searching for belonging and identity, especially young people from marginalized backgrounds. Hispanic gangs in the city of Baldwin Park. The gang landscape in Baldwin Park is diverse and has changed over the years. The city has been home to various gangs, including 1. De Madre Bolen, defunct, 2. Kings Have Arrived, KHA, 3. Barrio East Side Bolen Park, ESBP, 4. Barrio Northside Bolen Park, East Side Bolen Park 13. A long-established gang with roots in the 20th century, has left an indelible mark on Baldwin Park. The gang claims territory south of Ramona Boulevard and maintains a strong presence in the city's southwestern portion. Affiliated with the Mexican Mafia, as suggested by the use of 13 in its name, ESBP 13 stands out for its organization and hierarchy, which includes 5 cliques: the Locos, the Rascals, the Midgeteros, the Charros, and the Dukes. Members of one clique often mix with members of others, fostering a tightly knit yet complex internal structure that strengthens the gang's influence and reach. The rise and rivalries of East Side Bolen Park 13. East Side Bolen Park 13, despite its name, has been active for decades, steadily building a legacy of territorial conflicts and rivalries. Among its primary adversaries are El Monte Flores, Kings Have Arrived, KHA, Northside Bolen Park, Bassett Grande, and other local gangs. These intense rivalries have fueled ongoing violent clashes, casting a shadow over Baldwin Park and creating a climate of persistent tension. As gang violence escalates, it disrupts daily life for residents, placing them at risk and intensifying law enforcement's focus on the area. The deadly legacy of East Side Bolen Park 13. Loyalty, betrayal, notable incidents, and rivalries with El Monte Flores, Northside Bolen Park, and KHA. Unraveling tragedy in Baldwin Park. The deadly rivalry between Northside Bolen Park, East Side Bolen Park, and KHA gangs. In the early hours of July 19, 2013, Baldwin Park was the scene of 2 shocking incidents involving the East Side Bolen Park, ESBP, and Northside Bolen Park, NSBP, gangs. Soon after 12:30 a.m., Baldwin Park police officer Jose Jimenez discovered ESBP member Maldonado, known by the moniker Bones, lying injured on the porch of a Feather Avenue residence. Officer Jimenez, familiar with Bones' gang affiliation, found him with a gunshot wound to his chest. Yet, Maldonado refused to cooperate with authorities, and although he was later hospitalized, he survived. A bullet was retrieved from the scene, marking the start of a night steeped in violence. Less than an hour later, officers responded to another violent encounter. They discovered Sotelo, also a gang affiliate, unconscious and bleeding on a bus bench at the Los Angeles Street and Merced Avenue intersection. Unlike Maldonado, Sotelo did not survive his injuries. Evidence from the scene, including a bullet lodged in a nearby wall and a wig found on a fence, would later play a crucial role in piecing together what had unfolded that night. During Sotelo's autopsy, the medical examiner confirmed he died from a gunshot wound to the neck, and the bullet from his body was preserved as evidence. Following these events, detectives conducted interviews to uncover what happened. On December 2, 2013, police questioned Mariema Rosama, Sotelo's ex-girlfriend. Initially detained on unrelated charges, Rosama shared a chilling account. She recalled seeing Sotelo on a bus bench that night, accompanied by others from the local gang scene. Rosama described Looney wearing a wig she'd once given his girlfriend and mentioned hearing gunshots as she walked away from the group. She later alleged that Lucky, a figure known for his gang ties, was in a nearby car holding a gun just moments before the shots rang out. Rosama's hesitation in speaking sooner stemmed from fear, but her testimony provided investigators with critical insights. However, during the trial, Rosama recanted parts of her initial account. She admitted she hadn't witnessed the shooting directly and had fabricated her earlier statements to avoid jail time, even confessing to being under the influence of drugs at the time. Her video recording of the aftermath, showing police tape around the scene, further documented her visit back to the location after the police had arrived. Her testimony, while inconsistent, still helped to shed light on the events and gang dynamics of that night. Another witness, Sigala, was questioned by detectives just days after the incident. Sigala's statements further corroborated parts of Rosama's story, although she denied recognizing the wig found at the crime scene, explaining that she wore different types. In her absence, prior testimony read aloud at trial indicated she'd also observed Rosama filming the crime scene after the police had arrived. The trial continued with the testimony of Arturo Mendoza, another Northside Bolen Park member. Mendoza identified Sneaks as the appellant and revealed he'd been in regular contact with both Sneaks and Lucky. Mendoza recounted that just a day after Sotelo's murder, the appellant and Lucky casually admitted their involvement. They reportedly detailed how they had been actively seeking out rivals to hit up and bang on. According to Mendoza, both men openly discussed shooting victims at close range with a .357 caliber weapon, and Sneaks even bragged about targeting a specific area of Sotelo's body. For Mendoza's cooperation, he received a plea deal for an unrelated charge. Law enforcement officers continued their investigation with a strategic approach in January 2014. They placed the appellant in a cell with an informant and covert recording equipment, aiming to gather direct admissions. During the conversation, the appellant described driving a black Honda with several gang members in the car. He boasted about shooting a man at a bus stop and then continuing on their gang mission, later discarding the car, or G-ride, to avoid getting caught. The .38 revolver, referenced multiple times, was noted as the same weapon used in both shootings. These statements provided damning evidence and revealed the brutal cycle of retaliation driving these gangs. An analysis of the bullets recovered from the crime scenes confirmed that two of them were fired from the same firearm. Detective Acuna, an expert on gang activity in Baldwin Park, clarified the territorial conflicts between the Northside and East Side Bolen Park gangs and the nearby Kings Have Arrived, KHA, gang. He explained that the Feather Avenue location and Los Angeles Street marked battlegrounds between NSBP, ESBP, and KHA, where violent acts and power struggles often spilled over into surrounding neighborhoods. In Acuna's professional opinion, both the attack on Maldonado and the murder of Sotelo served a deliberate purpose: to uphold NSBP's influence and spread fear among their rivals. By carrying out these violent acts, gang members aimed to reinforce a code of silence within the community, ensuring the residents and witnesses remained fearful of retaliation and unlikely to cooperate with law enforcement. This case offers a sobering reminder of the enduring challenges faced in communities affected by gang violence. Each testimony and piece of evidence brings clarity to the toxic cycles of violence and retribution that disrupt lives and overshadow neighborhoods. Such trials and investigative diligence work to hold those responsible accountable, giving communities a chance to reclaim peace and restore trust in justice. Rivalry between East Side Bolen and El Monte Flores. A night of violence, tragedy, and retaliation in El Monte. On August 9, 2009, around 2:30 a.m., Pablo Martinez and his wife arrived back at their apartment complex near Cogswell and Ferris in El Monte. Mrs. Martinez headed up to their apartment while Mr. Martinez went to pick up the mail near the front gate. As he was returning, the quiet night was interrupted by the rumble of a car with a loud exhaust, equipped with a distinct rear wing modification. Later, in testimony, Mr. Martinez would describe this as resembling the back of a car known to belong to the defendant, complete with its modified muffler. A Mexican man entered through the gate, approached Mr. Martinez, and pointed a gun at him, demanding, "Where are you from?" Trying to defuse the situation, Mr. Martinez calmly replied, "I'm not from nowhere." After a few tense moments, the man lowered the gun and walked away, clad in a blue sweater, blue hat, black gloves, and glasses. Meanwhile, the car with the wing waited by the building's entrance, its engine idling as the man retreated. Returning to his apartment, Mr. Martinez shared the chilling encounter with his wife. Barely 5 to 10 minutes later, the quiet night shattered again with 4 or 5 gunshots ringing out nearby. Reflecting on his recent encounter, Mr. Martinez suspected the gunman was involved in the shooting. However, fearing the repercussions of involving law enforcement in a neighborhood all too familiar with gunfire, Mr. Martinez chose to stay silent. It wasn't until Mr. Martinez faced his own legal troubles, arrested on a probation violation charge stemming from spousal battery, that he opened up to detectives on the night of August 9. Hoping his cooperation might help his case, he shared the story but received no leniency. Reluctant to testify, he initially avoided court, resulting in his arrest for failing to appear. Meanwhile, in the early hours of August 9, another tragic event was unfolding just blocks away. Elith Hernandez and Job Gonzalez were riding their bikes down Lansdale toward Cogswell. Mr. Hernandez was on the south sidewalk while Mr. Gonzalez rode on the north side. Suddenly, a car pulled in from Cogswell and cut off Mr. Hernandez, forcing him to stop. Inside the vehicle were 2 men. The passenger, a young Latino dressed in dark clothes, was gazing intently at the bikers. The passenger asked Mr. Hernandez, "Where are you from?" Hernandez, unsure of what was being asked, didn't respond. As Mr. Gonzalez approached from across the street, dressed in loose, gang-affiliated attire and gripping a screwdriver, the situation escalated. The passenger, taken aback, drew a gun and fired, hitting Gonzalez 7 times and killing him. Hernandez tried to flee, hearing bullets whiz past him as he threw himself to the ground. When the shooting subsided, he sprinted home, only to be intercepted by a nearby police officer. Officer Snook was on Valley Boulevard around 2:30 a.m. when he noticed a blue Honda Civic driving slowly with its lights off. Curious, he turned his patrol car around to investigate. Suddenly, the Civic pulled into a median and made a sharp left. The street was dead-ended, and as Officer Snook continued to pursue, the passenger exited, attempting to scale a chain-link fence while clutching a black sweater. The driver of the Civic, a suspect now confirmed to be the appellant, accelerated toward Officer Snook, narrowly avoiding a collision. A high-speed chase ensued, ending in a crash. The driver fled but was eventually apprehended by Officer Snook. In the car, investigators found 4 9mm shell casings and a radio scanner tuned to local police frequencies. The casings matched those found at the scene of Gonzalez's murder. In court, gang experts from El Monte and Baldwin Park police departments testified about the gang dynamics influencing this case. Detective Ralph Baders described the reach of the El Monte Flores gang, whose territory included the area of the shooting. Baldwin Park Detective Esteban Mendez explained the structure of East Side Bolen Park, ESBP, a rival of El Monte Flores, known for committing violent acts within enemy territory as a means to gain respect and control. Appellant, an ESBP member, had previously taken part in violent acts against rival gangs, including a drive-by and a robbery, demonstrating his commitment to the gang's reputation. Through a hypothetical scenario based on these events, Detective Mendez testified that the crimes on August 9 were committed to bolster ESBP's standing, instilling fear both in rivals and in the community. Gang members frequently embark on such missions to create an environment where reporting crimes becomes rare, as the community itself is intimidated into silence. In defense, it was stipulated only that Mr. Gonzalez had a blood alcohol level of 0.06 to 0.07 and had recently consumed marijuana, suggesting a possible state of impairment during the encounter. This incident exemplifies the tragic, deadly cycle of gang violence, where individuals caught in gang rivalries face unpredictable and often deadly consequences, leaving communities divided and in fear. A cautionary tale of loyalty and betrayal. The tragic story of Twisted and the deadly legacy of East Side Bolen Park 13. In the early hours of November 14, 2014, Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies arrived at a warehouse complex, only to find a horrific scene inside. The body of Luciano Rubio lay face down, surrounded by blood, a brutal reminder of the violent extent to which members of East Side Bolen Park 13, ESBP 13, were willing to go. Rubio's murder, orchestrated by ESBP 13 members Michael, Little P, Perdomo and Alexandro, Twisted, Coto-Martinez, revealed a tale of vengeance and manipulation. For Twisted, a young member eager to prove himself, this event would unravel into a tragic cautionary tale of loyalty, betrayal, and the haunting consequences of gang life. The Rubio murder was sparked by a personal grudge. Perdomo, incensed by accusations that Rubio had assaulted his ex-girlfriend, convinced Twisted to join him in confronting Rubio at a Los Angeles warehouse. Evidence from the crime scene painted a chilling picture. Rubio had been pistol-whipped and shot 3 times with a .357 Magnum revolver. This planned ambush exposed the gang's ruthless code and the pressure exerted on younger members to prove their loyalty. As investigators pieced together the evidence, they discovered a trail that led back to Twisted. Following a chase in January 2015, Baldwin Park police arrested him near the crime scene with a loaded .357 revolver, the same weapon used to kill Rubio. Ballistic and DNA testing confirmed Twisted's involvement, sealing his fate. Yet, his recorded jailhouse confession, captured in a covert operation, provided a deeper look into the twisted dynamics of gang life. In his statements, Twisted recounted his manipulated loyalty to Little P, revealing how older gang members would pressurize younger recruits, drawing them into deadly conflicts with promises of respect and status. Twisted's confession reflected the harsh realities of gang influence, where allegiance is both demanded and exploited. He described himself as a big dude in ESBP 13, yet acknowledged feeling like a pawn, manipulated by more experienced figures like Little P despite his attempts to deny that the crime was gang-related. His own words betrayed the pressures he faced, hinting at a cycle of powerlessness masked as loyalty. His story highlighted the struggles young members face in an environment where violence and betrayal become normalized under the guise of family. East Side Bolen Park 13's reach extended beyond individual acts of violence, casting a shadow over Baldwin Park itself. Their control over parts of the community through drug trafficking, extortion, and intimidation bred an atmosphere of fear and instability. Many residents in gang-dominated neighborhoods lived with a daily awareness of danger, hesitant to interact with law enforcement due to fear of retaliation. Gang life, though it may provide a sense of belonging to its members, also perpetuated the community's socio-economic challenges, making it hard to dismantle the cycle of violence that ensnared young individuals like Twisted. In July 2015, A covert operation led detectives to place Twisted with an undercover informant posing as an inmate, further revealing the extent of his loyalty and confusion. In his account, Twisted spoke openly about his gang identity, describing his involvement in violent acts in Baldwin Park, including the brutal killing of Rubio. His statements, detailing how he had run up on people with his .357 revolver, painted a sobering picture of his entanglement in the gang's violent agenda. Twisted's recounting of Rubio's murder, pistol whipping him and shooting him while feeling the weight of loyalty, underscored the volatile and manipulative dynamics within the gang. The trial brought Twisted's confessions to light, with prosecutors portraying him as a volatile enforcer, a figure trapped in a deadly cycle of influence and retaliation. Sentenced to over 50 years to life, Twisted faced the consequences of a loyalty that had led him astray. His story emphasized the cost of allegiance within gangs, where younger recruits often bear the burden of violent acts instigated by senior members. Prosecutors highlighted Twisted's misguided loyalty, revealing the darker side of gang culture, where promises of respect and status mask a cycle of manipulation that entraps recruits. Reflecting on his story, Twisted found himself grappling with the weight of his decisions. His experience became a warning to those who might follow in his footsteps, illustrating the harsh reality of gang life, a world where loyalty demands sacrifice without reward. Through his tragic journey, Twisted hoped others might recognize the perils of blind allegiance and find the strength to choose a different path. His narrative now stands as a call to break free from the cycle of violence, manipulation, and misplaced loyalty that defined his past. Conclusion. A path forward for Baldwin Park. The story of East Side Bolen Park 13 and individuals like Twisted provides a sobering look at the effects of gang culture on Baldwin Park. The gang's history and ongoing rivalries are symptoms of larger societal issues, including limited economic opportunities, inadequate educational resources, and a lack of community support systems. Addressing these root causes is essential for breaking the cycle of gang violence that entraps so many young people in Baldwin Park. Community outreach programs, enhanced educational initiatives, and mentorship for at-risk youth are vital in providing alternatives to gang life. By focusing on the systemic issues that foster gang involvement, Baldwin Park can create pathways for its youth that lead away from violence and toward meaningful engagement with their community. Only through collective effort can Baldwin Park hope to reduce the influence of gangs like East Side Bolen Park 13 and build a safer, more prosperous future for all its residents.